Welcome to the J. Scott Outdoors podcast. We're here live at the SCI Convention. We're in the Outdoorsman's booth, and I'm joined here by my guiding partner, Darr Colburn, and we have Chris Denham of Western Hunter Magazine, Elk Hunter Magazine. They got the Western Hunter TV show. It's great to have you here, Chris.
Thank you, Jay. Appreciate it. It's an energetic and lively environment, so it's cool we're able to do this here.
Yeah, you know, it makes kind of nice to do it. We've done some podcasts. You've been on the podcast,
right.
And it's better to do it in person, I think. You get a little bit better feel, and guys are saying that the audio is quite a bit better, so it's great to have you here. It seems like the traffic around the show today is quite a bit more busy. Yeah,
it's typically I was just looking at the board out there. This is the Outdoorsman's. The Outdoorsman's been doing this show for over 20 years now.
Yeah.
And so I probably was here working with the Outdoorsman's on it for 18 or 20 years. And traditionally the way it goes, Wednesday's a little slow. Thursday starts picking up. Friday goes crazy. And then Saturday dies off. So today's Friday. Today will be the big day.
Yeah, sounds
certainly with this crew, you know, the election, all the negative stuff we're hearing. The crowd here, they're excited. They're excited about the new direction of the country, and they're here spending money. I've been talking to some of the outfitters this morning, and I talked to 3 different outfitters. Every one of them said it's the best show they've ever had so far. And
that's fantastic, and I think that speaks for the sentiment that people are feeling with what happened with the election, and people spending money. That's proof in the pudding right there.
Yeah.
Chris, what have you been up to these days? I haven't talked to you in a while. How'd your 2016 hunting season go?
16 was awesome. Awesome in every regard, really. I had an opportunity come up to do a Dall sheep hunt in Alaska, which honestly I never thought I would ever pull that off.
It kind of happened fast, didn't it?
Yeah, I had literally about 3 weeks notice when it all came down. It was a kind of a cancellation hunt. We did a 2-on-1, so I finally got the price down to where I said, this is crazy, I got to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And it was an amazing experience. It was 15 days backpacking. It was an area that you can only walk in. You can't fly. No horses. It's a walk-in only area. And like I told the outfitter, he said, by day 3, day 4, we'll be into sheep. And, I'm going to guess what happened. And I told Steve, I said, dude, that's just not – when Western Hunter shows up, that's not the way things go. Plans – you just throw the plans out the window.
Yeah.
I didn't know how right we were going to be because ended up killing on the 12th day. And then it was 3 days just to get out back to the highway. So it was one of those.
Was that 3 or 4 days just because you're traveling, getting in there, hiking?
It just takes that long.
Gotcha.
It's just that far in there. And really, it's funny when I look back at the maps and look at Google Earth, it might only have been on Google Earth 8 miles, maybe 10 miles in. But there was 2 or 3 mountains you had to get up and over that were just absolutely hairy, some hair-raising stuff.
And you are about as thin as I've seen you in a long, long time.
Thanks to that sheep hunt in large part.
Yeah, and fortunately you had already been really working on your fitness. It's kind of – tell me a little bit about when that started and then how when you found out about the sheep hunt, how it was like, okay, I'm kind of ready for this.
Yeah, it's a great story for I do train to hunt competitions, and I'm in the Super Masters class. The old guys, 50 and over.
By performance or age?
Yeah. It's honestly, though, that Super Masters class, when I look around, there's some, for guys over 50, and then I look at the times of the guys, the 25, 35-year-old guys, we're just a few steps behind them.
Yeah.
So but the cool part is they're all old guys. They're all Type A personalities, and every one of us is super competitive. But at the same time, the whole competition thing is like a thing of the past.
You're just having fun.
We're having a blast. We're supporting the heck out of each other.
You're competitive with yourself almost.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but having fun with your buddies.
Oh, and everybody, all the guys, and these are all guys I never knew until the train to hunt events, doing them around the country. And so now we're all Facebook friends. So then the chiding starts on Facebook about what workouts you do today. And, I did the donut workout. And so we all were like, we did one in Utah last year and early in the summer. And it was like all of the guys that I knew were going to be some of the top guys. So we got this. So then we ramped it up big time on each other. It was like really getting ready for nationals. And I was like, I'm going to win nationals. And to win, you've got to carry a 60-pound pack over a 4 or 5 mile course, and you're literally running most of the time with a 60-pound pack on. So that was the kind of workouts I was doing to get ready for that. And then the sheep hunt idea came up, And I was like, man, I'm ready for this.
Perfect training for a sheep hunt.
Perfect training. Yeah. Of course, the sheep hunt was right on top of National, so I didn't get to do that. But yeah, it was perfect training for. So if anybody's want to get ready for a sheep hunt out there, go to trainhunt.com. He's got workout stuff on there, and you will get in sheep shape.
That's awesome. Speaking of Dall sheep, I actually booked a hunt in 2018 in the Northwest Territories with Arctic Red for Dall sheep.
No
so
way.
I'm
That's awesome.
Excited. Yeah.
Now, and will that be like a fly-in hunt, or are you on horseback? Or?
It's a fly-in, then backpack hunt. Super Cub in, and then backpack from there. So it's a 10-day hunt, and I'm super excited. Like, I haven't been this excited for a hunt in a long time.
It is, having done a lot of desert sheep hunts, not as many as you guys yet, but, I've probably been on, 15, 20 sheep hunt kills on desert sheep, and so I was super excited to do the Dall sheep hunt just because it was something different. But I didn't realize how different Dall sheep hunting was going to be in the whole, that way north experience from what we do. Kind
of waiting for Alaska draw. I also put in for Alaska Dall sheep, and so we'll see. But we have pretty slim chance of doing that. And Darr and I put in for goat up there also in Alaska.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, so it's kind of fun stuff.
What outfit did you use? Did you have to get through an outfit?
Kronberger,
okay.
freelance. And for the goat, actually, we Frank Sanders.
Oh, okay.
Frank Sanders. I had him on the podcast, and for goat, went through him. And we're excited to see. I don't think we have very good odds, but you never know. And speaking of your Dall sheep hunt, did you get a chance to eat any of that meat on the mountain? Because I hear it's phenomenal.
It is phenomenal, but I didn't.
No,
in the Chugach, one of the problems that in the 15 days I was there, I wore pants without rain gear one time. It was raining.
I was going to ask you about that.
If it wasn't raining, you looked around and said, it's going to rain, so I might as well just leave the rain gear on.
Yeah.
So you were in the Chugach? Or?
Yeah,
okay.
Chugach, yep.
Yeah.
And so in the Chugach, once you're above the brush line, there's no wood up there. And then when you're down in the bottoms, it's like you're right 400 feet, and it's just marshy. There was no dry wood. We couldn't have started a fire with a flare.
Gotcha.
It wasn't happening. So we'd like to have eaten some because otherwise we had to pack it all out of there.
Everything I've heard about the Chugach, and that's one of the areas I applied for in Alaska, is, man, down in the bottoms it's just nasty alders and brush and it's rocky, bouldery, kind of hard to get around in the Chugach. Did you face that for 15 days?
Oh yeah, it's like there's no easy step. No easy step. Even when you look out across the valley that you're going to cross, you look at it and go, I can't wait to get down there. And you get down there, and it's going to be just like clumps of grass with 6 inches of water on each side, so you're like jumping from clump to clump. I mean, it literally got to the point where there's big boulder fields. We'd walk across the boulder fields, and you're jumping from rock to rock because it was easier than the vegetation was, Yeah, it's like there's no easy step. We said we hiked we figured about 100 to 105 miles. But look at the map, I bet it wasn't near that far. But it was hundreds and hundreds of hours.
Yeah.
It take 2 hours sometimes to go a mile.
Yeah. How did you adapt to it being so light for so long?
I wish I could say I adapted well, because I was there long enough, but I definitely got. There's actually a syndrome. There's actually a name for it when you're soaking up all that sunlight for 22, 23 hours a day, that your pituitary gland just goes into overload, and you get a little manicky, and it definitely happened to me. I had a really hard time by day 10, 11. Physically you're exhausted, but I still couldn't go to sleep. And I'm one of these people, I'm horizontal for 30 seconds, I'm out. And the last night, in fact, I probably laid there for 3 hours.
Wow.
Before I fell asleep.
Any advice you could give to someone going, what you would maybe do different next time?
Yeah, the old-fashioned eye covers that people sleep
with.
Little
mask thing?
Yeah, the mask thing. Just to be able to block
like
out
the little
sunlight.
Old ladies in the movies where
Absolutely.
they got the black thing over, or the pink deal over their eyeballs.
Absolutely, and it works.
Yeah.
I mean, I talked to a bunch of people, and fortunately my wife's a psychiatrist, and she explained that to me after I got home. I could have talked about that before I left. But I've been to Alaska 3 times in the middle of the summer when it's the maximum sunlight, but always in an RV or something like that where you can block it all out. So it didn't cross my mind beforehand that sleeping in a tent that you would need anything. That problem would exist. I mean, I took a headlamp, the very last night we were there, it was starting to, you actually start to get a little bit dark at night. And, of course, that was a night I couldn't sleep. And I get up and go and turn my headlamp on, and it's dead. No batteries. Probably been turned on my pack for 15 days. But that was the only time I even thought about turning my headlamp on.
Wow.
There's always some kind of light.
In 15 days.
15 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
What other hunts in 16 jump out at you? I know with the TV show, you're always going on hunts and stuff. Were there some others that jumped out at you?
Yeah, my elk hunt in New Mexico. It was just, I hit one of those, I hit the magic time, and it's happened to you guys before, I know, where you find that there's 4 or 5 cows, obvious and estrus, and a herd of 40 cows. So there was like 6, 7, 8 bulls, all big mature bulls, all just, it was absolute mayhem for 3
In a
days.
meatball.
Archery,
yeah. I mean, absolutely crazy. I mean, the day I killed, I literally felt invisible to the elk. Because I made probably 50 mistakes. I had to have. I mean, because I was like, I got to keep moving. I got to stay up with them. And then all of a sudden you're sneaking up, and then there's a bull looking at you from 40 yards, just looking at you, and then looks at you for 2 seconds and then just walks off.
Yeah.
Just no spooking, no barking.
They got something else on their mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're so fired up. And it was epic. It was like when the show comes out, it's going to be really cool because it's the audio is really kind of thick country, so it was tough to get lots of elk on film. But the bugling was literally just nonstop.
That's awesome.
Glunking, bugling, just chaos. Yeah.
And did you film your sheep hunt as well?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That'll be coming this season on Western Hunter TV?
Yep, we'll be on third and fourth quarter, so we'll start July, first week in July, and we're going to be on Monday nights this year.
Okay.
So we were on Thursday nights last year. We'll be on Monday nights this year. I think our time slot will be, I think we're going to be right behind Meat Eater again, so I think 7:30 Arizona time.
Sportsman's Channel?
Sportsman Channel, yep. Yep, and then that hunt, then it went from there, we went back to Alaska. We went to Kodiak Island, blacktail hunting on Kodiak Island. And, I mean, honestly, as amazing as that Dall sheep hunt was, the Kodiak Island hunt was every bit as epic. I mean, it's people use that word all the time, but it really is. I mean, the combination of big bears, the big bears, snow-capped peaks and flying in a float plane and deer all over the place and caribou. It was
adventure.
High adventure.
So was that a backpack hunt also, or was that stay on a boat? Or?
Yeah, no, we flew in.
Okay.
Nate and I we had 2 videographers. So we had a float plane drop us on a bay right on the edge of the ocean. And then we set up a camp and hunted from there, which is, it's great. It makes really good TV. It's a little bit confining because you can't go very far. I mean, the country's just as tough as Dall sheep country. And so going 4 miles is a big deal. That's a big hike.
And was that archery or was that a rifle hunt?
It's either or. I took a bow and a rifle. And unfortunately, in Kodiak, it seems like they get a week of nice weather, then a week of nasty weather, and a week of nice weather, and a week of nasty weather. Well, we landed on the last day of the good weather. But we flew out on the first day of the good weather. And, I mean, we had 50-mile-an-hour winds and rain, and every now and then things would clear out for like a couple hours, but it was tough. I mean, so bow hunting, like literally 80% of the time, you couldn't even make an ethical shot. I mean, in camp, I'm shooting at a target. We took a little ball target. We're shooting at a target at 20 yards, hoping I hit the target at 20 yards.
Wow.
The wind's just pushing you so hard.
Wow.
So it sounds like your 2 hunts in Alaska, rain gear is critical.
Huge. Yeah, the rain gear is really important. And rain gear that fits right. That's important.
One question I have for you, I think you're a great person to ask this question is growing up in Arizona and doing as much Coues deer hunting and sheep hunting and, a lot of the same country that Darr and I roll around in. When you travel to some of these other areas, Alaska and go into these places, how does it compare to our Coues deer country and just from a getting around standpoint? I mean, I feel like sometimes if you're used to Coues deer country, you can pretty much handle anything. Yeah. I mean, do you feel that way?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, it always amazes me to come back and go Coues deer hunting after doing all these other hunts, just how hard it is. And Randy Rocky is our videographers. He was with me in Alaska. He was with me on both trips in Alaska. And then he came down to New Mexico, and we filmed a hunt in New Mexico, Coues deer hunting this year. And after day 1, he goes, holy crap. This is hard. This is the hardest hiking I've done all year. And he's the guy that's following Nate Simmons around the mountains.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's just our loose rock and grass that covers up the rocks. I mean, it just
everything
Alaska,
grabs you and pokes you.
Pokes you.
Yeah.
And you can never take your eyes off the ground.
Yeah.
If you look up and take 2 steps, the third step you're probably going to be on the ground if you're not paying attention. So yeah, it is. People call it the poor man's sheep hunt. I've all heard that over the years, and it is. I mean, for as far as difficulty, it's you're not doing typically 2,000 and 3,000 foot climbs like you might do on a sheep hunt,
right?
But the 1,000-foot climbs in Coos Deer country are brutal. And the 1,000-foot descents, I think the descents are harder here than Alaska.
So looking forward in this year with the fall coming up, your summer, I'm sure you've got some plans already. Do you have anything in particular that you're super excited about, or any special hunt particular that you're like, I'm ready, I'm anxious for this one coming?
Well, yesterday it all kind of came together for me. The outfitter I hunted with in Alaska is working on a new area that he wants to open up for brown bear hunting and on spring brown bear hunts. And he said, it's going to be kind of a miserable. We're actually going back to where we sheep hunted. And he said, it's going to be really, really tough. He goes, I don't know exactly what we're doing. He goes, so I don't want to bring a real client, So I'm not sure. I took it as a compliment.
Yeah.
You're the guinea pig.
You're the guinea pig, And he goes, I know you can do it. It's going to be, because it's going to be tough. And so I'm going to go brown bear hunting in Alaska at the end of April.
Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. It was not on my bucket list until 24 hours ago. I never ever thought I could put together that.
Will that be archery or will that be a rifle?
It's either or. And we talked about the archery idea. Not totally opposed to it. The only thing, I'll be ready for that. But the only thing that's going to be frustrating or hard is if the weather's cold or if it's windy, you have to wear so much clothing that shooting. And if I was going on a muskox hunt or something like that, where it's like, you can just keep working around it. But if you don't make a good shot on a brown bear, things can get a little hairy.
Yeah.
So I'd love to do it with a bow, but at the same time, I mean, you're talking about everybody's lives. It's life and death. It's not just.
Chris, one question I would have for you, being a hunter before you were filming TV show, now you're filming a TV show. Is it hard sometimes to maybe do the hunts that you personally want to do as opposed to like knowing that maybe you've already done that hunt and maybe I need to do something new for the show? And I'm just curious, in the fight in your own mind, how do you prepare your hunts and maybe what you choose to do because it's TV or not? Or are there some that you just say, I'm doing that, even if we've already done it, I want to do that hunt. How's it work?
Yeah, it's a good question because it's something that Nate and I talk about constantly. And like right now, those conversations are happening because we're applying for draws and because we hunt, private or public land almost basically 100% of the time. We depend on the draws. And so we try, or over the counter tags. So we try to keep it mixed up, and try not to do, if we do a hunt, like Coos Deer hunting in Arizona is a good example. I think we've aired 3 episodes, and I've been in the same unit every time, but every time we do it a little bit different. Mm-hmm. And like next year I want to do the same hunt, but next year I want to do it backpack only, and just mix it up and give it just a little different flair because I'm going Coos Deer hunting.
Right.
We're going to, So, and I think one of the things that's really true is like Nate could go do a high country mule deer hunt over and over and over again. Because he loves it so much, it comes across. That passion just comes through on the camera because you really do deep down love what you're doing, and we're terrible actors. So
well, that's the thing. You're not acting. You're doing what you love, and you're being you.
And if it's real, then that's going to come through.
Yeah.
I know. I feel sometimes when I watch other hunting shows where guys were just literally making a show.
Trying too hard.
Yeah, they were there to make a show, and they weren't there because they loved what they were doing. Yeah. And so for us, the nice thing is we can mix it up so much. We got 13 Western states, and I'm kind of at the point in my life too where I like the adventure of going to a new area, not knowing anything about it, and start from scratch. It's not necessarily the best way to kill the biggest animal out of that unit, but I love the process of learning just showing up and learning the area and figuring out and making it all happen.
We were talking in a previous episode about, I was kind of talking about kind of as you mature as a hunter, and in my own trying to mature as a hunter and as a person, not that we don't both try and still kill big stuff, but we were talking that, it seems like the older you get, the more it's about the adventure, more about the friendship, more about just taking everything in. Curious if you have seen that in your own hunting career, aside from the TV, not even taking that into account. And I know you have shot some giant animals yourself. How your own progression is in that regard.
In the same way. I mean, scores literally don't really mean anything to me anymore. Whatever the mountain offers, I'm going to try to take advantage of that. But like for elk, I mean, I've killed one big bull, and of course I'd like to kill 10 more really big bulls. But my only criteria for a successful elk hunt is I want him to bugle, and I want him to. I want to be able. I just want to hear him bugle and be able to hunt him. If I'm in Colorado and it's a 240-inch 5-point, man, if he's bugling and chasing cows and screaming, I'm stoked. Yeah. I'm all in for that.
Yeah. And do you honestly think it's an age thing as you mature, or do you think it's a function of maturity from adventure that you've already done and just like wanting to strive for more than just shooting the biggest animal? Yeah,
it's certainly age is a factor, only in that wisdom comes with age for people that actually think about it. And of course, being in the business, I'm always processing hunting, and where hunting's going, and then I see things I don't like, and so I want to make sure that I understand why I don't like what I see here, and that I don't portray that myself.
Yeah.
Social media, love it or hate it, social media is the hunter's best friend, and it's also probably our worst enemy right now.
Yeah.
And I think what I've seen, is just too much of is people, when you go on Facebook, I'm sure you guys, your feed's the same as mine. It is one dead animal after another. So people go on there and they see all of this success happening, and it doesn't happen for them. So they have this compelling desire to make sure that they can throw a big animal off on Facebook and get 600 likes.
Yeah.
And get it's shared all over the place, so it makes them feel good. And it is sad because it's created. It has created an air of that you got to kill big in order to be cool. It's and it creates things. I mean, not to pick on the Bomars at all, but the speared bear thing in Alberta. I think if they really looked outside of the 5,000 friends they had, and realized that the whole world doesn't actually want to see this. They don't want to see this.
I think there's something to that. It's just interesting as you mature as a hunter, as a person, how things change. Yeah. I know I'm different than I was. I like to think that I'm better than I was as far as skills and getting better, but also mentally and trying to just mature as a hunter.
Right.
I've certainly done things that I wish I hadn't have done. I think we all have.
Oh, yeah.
Moving forward with your businesses and things you have going on, what's in the future for Western hunter, elk hunter, wilderness athlete? What's going on?
Well, we do have a bit of announcement, hopefully, depending on when this airs, people may or may not know. But what I've decided to do with the magazines is actually merge Elk Hunter and Western Hunter magazine.
Okay.
We looked at it, and we have about 80% crossover, people buying both magazines because they love both magazines. But what we were struggling with was being able to stay focused. And because we'd go from doing an issue of Western Hunter to doing an issue of Elk Hunter, and everybody having to switch gears, thinking about nothing but elk, and then trying to get content that was kind of exclusively elk. We just decided, to stay focused. Actually, the thing that started the whole thing in my mind to do this was because Elk Hunter is actually extremely successful. We're like in the top 5% of all publications as far as sell-through rate on the newsstand. My newsstand rep thinks I'm on drugs for doing this because we sell so well. But I was watching our own show. It was the last episode of the season. Randy Rocky, our videographer, did the show himself, and he did it from the videographer's perspective, of what he saw the year as. It was a really cool show, but the cool thing is I didn't see it in its final form until I literally watched it on my TV. So I'm sitting there watching it, and then a commercial pops up for Elk Hunter and Western Hunter magazine that I'm in. I'm the guy in front of the camera. when the commercial was over, it's like, what was I selling? You got 1 issue of Elk Hunter, you got 2 issue of Western Hunter. You can buy 1 year of both, or 2 years of both, or 1 year of, or 1 of 1. And I was like, that was the most confusing commercial I've ever heard. But then I thought I couldn't have done it any different. So I figured, you know what? Let's streamline it, bring everything together. So the cool thing is we're going to bring like George Batis's horse packing articles that were just in Elk Hunter, bring those into Western Hunter.
Will it fall under the Western Hunter name?
Yes. It's going to be called Western Hunter Magazine.
Okay.
We're going to go from 4 issues to 6 issues. Okay. And then our page count is going to go from 100, at least the 116, maybe 132. So it's going to be a much more expanded format. So it's going to be just a bigger, better Western Hunter Magazine. From a content perspective, we're actually going to be printing the same number of pages. It's just going to be in 6 issues instead of 8 issues, and it'll be under one title.
Gotcha.
And Fred Eichler's coming in this year.
Awesome.
I'm super excited to have Fred in, yeah.
Awesome. And when will people see that transition, or when will it all roll over into one?
Yeah, we're printing the last issue of Elk Hunter. Literally, it goes to the printer today. So it'll be out the middle of February, that'll be the final issue of Elk Hunter. And then so we got at the beginning of April, that one will go to the printer, so folks will start seeing it the middle of April.
Okay.
Middle to end of April.
Okay.
Forgive us if it's a little late, because I told the guys this is going to be the new and improved Western Hunter. So I told the guys, if we're a week late, that's so be it. If we're 2 weeks late, so be it. Let's just make sure this first issue we get it right.
Have a good first issue.
Yeah. Awesome. And then with the TV show, you've already talked about it's going to air after Steven Rinella's Meat Eater on the Sportsman's Channel. And then with the merger, I guess, so to speak, of Elk Hunter, or it's maybe not the right word, but it's all going to fall under Western Hunter Magazine.
Right.
How about Wilderness Athlete? What's going on with that?
Wilderness Athlete's just doing awesome. I mean, the company just keeps growing, and we have an amazing team of people. If anybody has any questions about nutrition, sure, you can go to our website, but feel free to pick up the phone and call. I mean, everybody that picks up the phone at Wilderness Athlete can talk and knows what they're talking about, and they're not just talkers. I mean, the first thing they do as soon as they're closed down in the afternoon is they all go hit the gym together or doing the trails together. And Kevin Gian from Wilderness Athletes is going to be doing the rim to rim to rim with me again this year, and they're all Wilderness Athletes. We've got some exciting new products. We're going to come out with a Vision product this year. We just came out with the new Elite line for guys that are really trying to, and actually I'm trying to do it. My goal is to try to drop 10 pounds of body fat and pick up 5 pounds of muscle mass. And it's a heck of a challenge at 54 to think that might even be possible.
Yeah, because you're going like this.
Exactly.
And how are you judging that?
Well, I have one of those biometric scales that lands at the house today. So
gotcha.
So it supposedly tracks body fat, but none of those scales are actually really accurate, but they give you a trend.
Give you a baseline kind of?
Yeah. If you just get on the scale every day and just keep marking it down, hopefully you'll see your body fat go down and your total body weight go down along with it.
And so you are doing the rim to rim again?
Yeah, going to do it again.
How many years have you done it now?
4 years.
I know Darr did it. 4 years ago?
5 years.
5 years ago. Yeah. When Darr finished it, I was like, all right, I need to do this.
If Darr can do it, you can do it.
No, I was like, but, I watched the way you trained, and we talked about it so much, and I was like, okay, I got to do it. It's one of those things you just got to bail off and do it, And I know for the older guys, Dave Martin, because of the 20 of us that do it each year, there's about 20 that go and do it, and at least 10 of us are over 50 now. And it's the over 50 guys are there every year, because it's like we don't want to stop, because it's like admitting that you're getting old. Like, let's see if we can just stop the clock.
Yeah.
Here,
and you can't, can you?
No, it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. But as long as you can keep, just the discipline of training and that's really what it is for us, is the discipline you have to go through for 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
And typically the 4 or 5 months where, as hunters, we're not being very well disciplined on diet and exercise. Mm-hmm. When you come out at the end of April and you've done the rim to rim to rim, you're ready now to start working on strength stuff and get ready for hunting season.
Chris, I had the Utah tag on the beaver last year for elk, and I spend the summers up in Carbondale, Colorado, and I got what I thought was in shape by Colorado, hiking around and doing all of that, and went into the elk hunt, and I was in shape.
Right.
But speaking real honestly, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for what I did the hunt fine. I hunted 16 days. I came back to Arizona. But when I got home from the elk hunts, I thought, I'm going to try and keep this going. Right. So I've actually, in my own life, been trail running Pinnacle Peak, Tom's Thumb, the McDowell's, all the different trails in there, and not big hikes like you're doing getting ready for the rim to rim to rim, but 4 to 6 miles a day.
Yeah.
And I missed Christmas Day or Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. And then anytime like there's a travel day, I kind of miss. But literally every day I'm home, I'm trail running.
Yeah.
And I've noticed, and I went from I think 192 pounds. I'm at 174 now.
Dang.
And it was amazing. This later in the fall hunting season, the sheep hunts and the Coues deer hunts in Mexico. I was telling Darr, man, I just noticed myself being just that much not. I don't know if stronger is the word, but the ability to throw on my pack, go hunt, go hike up a gnarly ridge, and then go like, what's over the next ridge, and go up another one, and the recovery time. So I mean, 4 to 6 miles a day of pretty aggressive trails with some vertical drop. It's made a huge difference in my life. And then now booking this sheep hunt in 2018. My wife's like, well, now you have no excuse. So at least you have to keep it up for a year and a half. It's amazing how much better I feel. And I know you can probably attest to that.
Yeah, because really true endurance is something that comes with lots of time. I've noticed it each year, even though I'm getting a year older, I'm still at the point where each year it's easier.
Yeah.
It's literally a little bit easier because my endurance is getting better. Plus, I think the biggest part is you get mentally tough.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, you get to grinding and, but for me, it's the consistency. Sure, there's days that I don't want to do it, but I found actually the longer I've done it, so since October 1st, I've been really consistent, that on the days that I don't do it, I actually kind of feel a little weird, and I feel mental with my own self. I feel guilty, like I need to go. If for some reason that morning I can't do my trail, I do it in the afternoon to make sure I get it in. Yeah. And I've just had fun with it.
I think it's a big deal with, too, that everyday mentality because, when you're hunting, it's the same thing you go through. I mean, you're tired, you're sitting on this ridge, and you're like, okay, I got 3 hours of daylight. It's going to take me an hour to get over there. Do I really want to do this? And then, when you get up every day and say, I'm going to go pound that trail no matter what, it makes that decision process just makes it easier, I think.
Sure.
Especially trail running. That's one thing I've started doing a lot more of. Instead of just hiking, running, because running will take you to that threshold.
And I'll even tell you, like, even after elk season and after training in Colorado and mainly just hiking, when I started in October doing Pinnacle Peak and doing Tom's Thumb and doing some of these things, don't get me wrong, I was walking. I was hiking.
Right.
And then I got, as I was doing it every single day, I got to where I could run up slowly, jogging up, walking down, jogging up, walking down. Now I get where the steepest sections, I'm like running. I still walk down because I just feel like running downhill is really bad on my joints, but it's amazing how your body really reacts in a short period of time, where I thought it was a long period of time, but really it's a couple weeks, and all of a sudden I'm running uphill.
Yeah.
Whereas 2 weeks ago I had died if I had done that. But your body can, react quickly.
Your body's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those people talk about, well, I don't want to do this, I don't want to abuse my body. It was made to do this.
Yeah.
I mean, we were made to abuse it by today's standards.
Yeah.
When you look at the way people lived even 100 years ago and things people had to do, I mean,
we're pretty soft.
Yeah,
pretty soft. We've gotten soft.
The body can handle it. And good nutrition and rest. Are critical, but the body can handle it.
Yeah. Well, it's been awesome having you on. I know you got other people here to see at the show, but I know I want to thank you because you have been, we're here at SCI Convention. They raise a lot of money for hunting across the world, and I know in our own home state you've been an ambassador for hunting for sportsmen, and Dar's done a lot of volunteering and your time. And, time is the most valuable commodity we have.
Right.
And you've done a lot of it for many, many years, and I just want to thank you for that. And I think it's a great place here. The Safari Club International, they do great things.
They do.
And, it's just conservation-minded. I think of you. And so I want to thank you for that. Thank you for coming on, and good luck with your hunts coming up this season, and good luck with the Train to Hunt events and the Rim to Rim. And it's I'm anxious for you on the brown bear hunt.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Darr.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, great.